Fighting Elementary School. And I have a few guests that I'd like to introduce. To my left over here, we have Miss Laura Krieger. She is the principal at Gold Quiller. And to my right over here, I have Miss Carlisha Jackson. She's the assistant principal at Wilson Elementary School. And they are here to answer any questions and to speak to you a little bit about what they offer over at Gold Quiller Elementary and Wilson Elementary School, and where our students will be going in the near future. We also have with us Dr. Lewis, who will be answering any questions that you may have as well.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Laura Krieger. I'm the principal at Quiller. I also have with me my team, Kendra Clayton, assistant principal, Ethan Rose, dean of students, and Regina Williams-Preston, dean of students as well. We're happy to meet you. We're here to answer any questions that you have and hope that you come and visit at Quiller, see all that we have to offer. Quiller is a traditional school, pre-K through 5. We have specials and extracurriculars and clubs and all of those different things. We started Spanish this year. And so just come over, meet staff, and you'll be right at home.
Again, I'm Carlisha Jackson. My principal is not here today. Samantha Smith is the principal at Wilson Elementary School. She is not able to be here today, so I'm here representing as Providence as the principal. So as what Mrs. Krieger said, we have enrichment clubs. Thursday is early release, similar to your students that are here. The schedule will be exactly the same. Getting out, starting and ending at the same time on Thursdays. We have specials, and we're excited to start Spanish this year as well. We have a showcase for school coming up soon, so I encourage you, similar to what she said, to come to our school. You can visit. We have EL classes. We have a lot of we have interventionists. We have EL interventionists, smaller class sizes where, well, I guess they won't be so small now because we're working your students. But wonderful teachers. They've been there a long time. This is my first year there personally, and I feel like welcome like I've been there for years. So I'm super excited to welcome your students into our building. I encourage you all to come visit. Like I said, you all can learn a lot more information at our showcase school, where you can also see Quiller as well.
Okay. Well, I am Dr. Lewis. Thank you all for being here this evening. We will have a quick presentation where we'll go through some questions. And so for those of you here in person as well as virtually, again, hola, mi nombre es Dr. Lewis. Gracias para aquí esta noche. Espero responder to todas preguntas hoy. All right? And that is my quota of Spanish for today. All right. So, we will go to the next slide. So, you met the school leaders for Quiller and Wilson this afternoon. So, as a reminder, last spring, the Board of Trustees of the school corporation voted to vacate some buildings as well as to redraw some of the boundaries in the, or not some, but to redraw the boundaries of the district. And so the students and families here at Warren were impacted in both senses, in that this is one of the buildings that's being vacated. And as a result, with the new boundaries, students that would otherwise go there would be reassigned to one of two schools, Quiller or Wilson Elementary School. Both schools are within a 10-minute drive of Warren. Now, I know there will be lots of questions around special circumstances. My child has an IEP, or my child has this particular service that's available at Warren, but my child has those services at his or her new school. What I will say is that those questions will be discussed on a case-by-case basis. All right, for a number of reasons, children who fall into this category, who are receiving those services, have unique services that they might be receiving, and so again, they need to be addressed on a case-by-case circumstance to see what will be the best assignment for your scholar based on the services that they are currently receiving at Warren and based on their needs. All right. So I know you all have those questions, but again, we will not get into those questions this evening. How will you know what school you've been reassigned to? So if you go to the SBCSC website, there is a school locator tool where you'll be able to put in your address, and it will let you know where you've been reassigned to. All right, so it's just that simple. Similarly, you should have already, if not, will soon be receiving a formal letter notifying you of your current school, which is Warren, and the school that you have been reassigned to. Now, you do have the option, if for some reason you do not want to attend the school that you are reassigned to apply to one of the district-wide or regional-wide magnet programs. So those are options as well. The only caution I would share with families is that if you do decide to potentially attend a school outside of the school that you are assigned to, you run the risk possibly of not having transportation provided to you. All right, so that's the only caveat. So again, you go to the website, use the school locator tool, put in your address, it will let you know the school that you have been reassigned to. Go to the next slide. All right, so both Representative Mrs. Krieger and Ms. Gatson, for their respective schools, talked about this a little bit earlier, but there are some things that are consistent in all zone schools, right? Expectations, uniforms, our belief that all students can learn and can succeed. All our staff share the same commitment to our kiddos and to you as families. It's, you go to any McDonald's, a Big Mac is a Big Mac, all right? It's the same in any zone school. The expectations are the same. Now, there are some things above and beyond that that will be unique to those schools. And so some McDonald's still serve the McRib, some don't. They all should, but some choose not to, right? And depending on where you are in the country, you might get a side of guac with your McDonald's. It just, some things vary. But there are some things that are consistent across the board, all right? And that's the same across all of our zone schools. And then the leadership team at Pollard and Wilson, based on the needs of their respective communities, will do some additional things in addition to what's standard across all zone schools. So again, high expectations, rigorous expectations for teaching and learning, holistic support and approach to the development of your young people, athletics, transportation, clubs, even though some clubs might look a little bit different. So at Pollard, for example, some of our students attend programming at Rays of Life, and so they have the opportunity to interact with the horses. And we also have Gentleman and Scholar, and then there are other things that are unique to Wilson as well. But again, there are just some things that are consistent across the board. Okay, so in one of the communication that you should have already received, and if not, there are some hard copies for you. There is a QR code which I believe takes you to an FAQ. That FAQ is a live document that will be updated. So as more and more information becomes available, or as more and more families start asking questions that we didn't necessarily think about before, we will update the FAQ to reflect those questions and answers. As is tradition here in South Bend, next week, it's November next week, interesting. Next week on the 1st is the Showcase of School, which is at the Century Center, and all of our schools will be there. So for those of you who who are unable to be here with us this evening, you'll have the opportunity to stop by and meet the staff at from Polk Willard and Wilson at the Showcase of Schools next week. And then thereafter, each school will have its own open house. So that will be an opportunity for you, once you go into school locator and you learn that I've been reassigned to Wilson or Polk Willard, look out for information for an opportunity to visit the school and hear more from the team. It will be a much longer presentation. You'll have the opportunity to tour the building. You'll have the opportunity to sit in classrooms. You might get a lesson. I don't know. We'll see. Right? You might get to taste the school lunch. I don't know. We'll see. But you'll have the opportunity to go there in person and spend some time at your newly assigned school. So that information is forthcoming. So again, some of these questions I've answered before, and again, if you scan the QR code, it will take you to many of these questions. Again, uniforms are consistent across our schools. Some of the uniforms are different in terms of the tops, but most of our schools are consistent in the bottoms in terms of khaki or gray or blue or black. What's different is the uniform tops. The Claire backpacks is consistent across all schools in the city, whether they are corporation schools or zone schools. That's okay. And again, as I spoke about before, for students who receive specialized services, if they have an IEP, that's all right. If they have an IEP or a 504 or some additional services, you will have the opportunity to meet one-on-one with the special education supervisor who supports the zone school to talk about your scholars' unique needs and what will be the best placement for them. Again, if your child, whatever school they're reassigned to, they will get transportation because that's their reassigned school. Again, the only possible exemption to that is if you choose to go to a school outside of your assigned school. All right, and there are several magnet schools across the city, and there are several regional options. There are a few K-8 schools that will be opening, so on and so forth. So again, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions this evening. I think we are tracking the chat for those online, so I think we'll have the opportunity to answer online questions as well as the questions that are here in person. If you have questions, again, would encourage you to first check the FAQ, but then you can email your questions to info@sbec.org. And with that, we will open it up to the Q&A, and so you can ask questions about the redistricting in general, or if you have questions about Wilson and or Polk Willard, again, we have representatives from both schools. So with that, I'm happy to take questions, but I also know it's a long day and it's dinner time, so it's okay if there are no questions either. All right, any questions for the folks here in person? No questions. Do we have any questions online? And for just for the benefit of everyone, this will be on our Facebook page and I think our YouTube page as well, so you can watch it again in the future. I know I talk fast sometimes, I talk funny sometimes. You might want to double check my Spanish. Feel free, you can watch the video in the future, share it, and here again is the QR code. And so if there are no questions or comments, I'm happy to dismiss us, and if we have a volunteer for the benediction, no, all right. Well, with that, thank you all for coming out. Safe travels, stay dry.